Hello and welcome to the weekend edition of the Dugout. It's the last weekend, in fact, gentlemen, as we speak before the start of the BGT. So, special Dugout. Plenty of questions with regards to what is expected to happen in Perth. Plenty of reports doing the rounds as well. There's only a couple that we can verify at the moment. But let's try and tell you what exactly is it that's happening in Perth right now. We saw a couple of days of match simulation that happened. It was followed by a 3-hour training session today, in which some Indian batters weren't quite there. Siddharth Gulati has more details on that. But as we try and give you a sense of what's happening on the ground, there are some pertinent questions as well that have also emerged. Here on the Dugout, our endeavor will be to try and get to the bottom of these issues ailing this Indian team. It's almost become synonymous now, injuries and an Australia tour. That has been the case for two tours, and this time it's not in the middle of the series, it's at the onset of the series that the Indian team is having to deal with some serious injury concerns, which means maybe there's a change in batting order, which also means you could have an opening pair, which you and I probably didn't even think of about a week or 10 days back. So plenty of those questions, we'll try and answer all those questions as well. As expected, I am not going to be agreeing with Shashwat because he comes with outrageous ideas. So, but let's see if today is that one day that Shashwat and I can agree.
There aren't too many options left that we can debate about.
Be it the Delhi Capitals, be it the Indian team. That's the two things Shashwat and I follow very closely. We are never on the same page. Gulati and I still managed to find some sort of consensus, but Shashwat is a difficult nut to crack. Let's see what happens today. I'd like to bring in my colleagues also on this, who have been tracking the news much more than I have been. Let's start with Shashwat. As always, he's loaded with news in both his pockets. Shashwat, please.
Before that, you were talking about that the last weekend, as far as action-packed weekends are concerned, lots of weekends coming ahead which are going to be really, really action-packed. I was having this conversation with Pawan just before the Dugout. This just feels
Should
like...
we call Pawan and let him say hi to everyone?
Yeah, he can do that too.
Pawan doesn't want to come.
But anyways, what we were talking about, that this feels like the calm before the storm. You know, next weekend...
Aren't we hit by the storm already?
No, I think the storm.
You feel it's calm?
In between the storm, it would be next time. Next weekend, Sunday, at this moment, you know, half of the teams would
that
be made.
will be...
half of the teams by now would have
That'll
been
be
made.
a tornado.
Yeah.
It won't just be a storm, because you'll be hit by a tornado which will come from somewhere in the Middle East, and then there'll be a tornado which will come to you from
that would have
Perth.
ended by the afternoon, na?
But it'll be a 2-day tornado.
Yeah. And then the two more days would be left after that.
So what happens when there's a tornado or a cyclone on the way? The people who get, unsettled, and there's a lot of rehab that has to happen. A lot of people who get people have to be moved away to safer areas. And do you and I have that option?
No. We have no such option.
Relocation happens.
We could have done the relocation before the storm was coming. And then, but when the storm had to come,
you and I are looking forward to, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to.
What tornado are you most scared of? The one from Australia or the one from Middle East?
The one from Australia, of course.
Not the Middle East.
No, that's going to be exciting at the end of the day, because everyone, by the end of the auction, it's going to be very evenly poised. You know, after I know a lot of the battles are won and lost on the auction table, but everything will boil down to what happens in March, April. Still a couple of months for that. So definitely it's going to be exciting for 2 days, but the longer, broader picture is, of course, our eyes are on the WTC final, which looks really unlikely at this point of time.
Will you be more anxious for the Capitals or for the Indian team? It's a difficult one, no? That's a good one.
It's not a difficult one. I know my answer.
What is it?
Of course.
What?
The
Delhi I still haven't heard it from you.
Delhi Capitals. Of course. So that is very different.
BGT on the back burner.
No, see, again, Delhi Capitals is a little, very
personal.
I've heard...
Because I've seen that team begin in front of me. Indian team has a very old legacy. It's been there forever. But Delhi Capitals is something...
Your baby, na?
I have related to.
Yeah.
I have seen it from the beginning, from the start. So that's why it's a very special place. It is something that, at least, especially being so young, I have nothing else to relate to, as far as something that started in front of me. This is something that started in front of me, so the only thing that I can relate to in that sense.
Going across to Gulati, you have plenty of news. You were telling me because I only came to office 10 minutes back. You're telling me there's so much happening in Australia.
Yeah, before I get to that, sources in the know of things have told me that one of
New update. New update.
Yeah, one of your favorite players
Yeah.
is probably going to be targeted by Lucknow Super Giants.
Oh. Is he a former? Is he an IPL winning captain?
Yes, he is.
Is he the most recent one?
Yes.
See, I think many people are going to target him. Undoubtedly, I don't think that's going to be the case. That see, everyone knows that Delhi wants him, and Delhi would absolutely want him. He has had that conversation earlier also, that Delhi would definitely want him, but that doesn't mean other teams won't go after him. Lucknow definitely wanting a captain. They need somebody, a leader. Specifically, their owner has also said that we need somebody who plays for the team, not for themselves. And
Not for personal milestones.
Shreyas Iyer definitely displayed that in the previous season while playing for KKR, because he was very flexible as far as his role in that team was concerned. So he's definitely a great captain, a great leader, and any team would want an IPL winning captain for themselves. But even RCB, I wouldn't be surprised if RCB also go after him.
Yeah. So
but he's coming back home, that's for sure.
That's for
what
sure,
I
yeah.
feel.
The updates that we have from the Indian camp regarding the Border Gavaskar Trophy is that Shubman Gill is all set to be ruled out of the opening test at the Optus Stadium. He has a thumb fracture, and it's probably going to take about a couple of weeks to heal, which means that he faces race against time to be fit for the second test in Adelaide. That's going to be a day-nighter. The good news is that KL Rahul, Shashwat's favorite player, has been declared fit by the BCCI. They have uploaded a video on their X platform. He batted for about an hour in the nets. Didn't look really that flexible or that fluent, but then the good thing is that he is 100% fit and available for selection. Same can be said about Sarfaraz Khan also, who had copped a blow to his elbow during the practice session before the match simulation. And as far as I think the reports are concerned, there's a good chance that Devdutt Padikkal might be added to India's squad for the Border Gavaskar Trophy as a reserve batter, because any which ways you aren't really assured of Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill participating in the opening test. There's no update on Rohit, and with Shubman, a fracture usually takes a lot of time to heal. So that's the thing as far as the latest updates are concerned. But then, there are more things as far as the chit chatters or the sledging is concerned for the BGT. Tim Payne has, called Gautam Gambhir not a great fit as an Indian coach. You can check out that full video that was done. Similarly, Glenn McGrath has also had his say on Virat Kohli's poor form. And a lot of things are really going to happen. There's going to be a return of the KKR IPL winning captain. He is going to lead Mumbai in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, Harshit, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So these are the latest updates that we have from the Indian camp and a bit from the domestic circuit. But coming back to the point, I think
there's some new names as well that are doing the rounds now. I think I heard somebody tell me that Devdutt Padikkal has been asked to stay. There's that report doing the rounds as well.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so the report basically says that
the Indian A team is supposed to travel back tonight, right?
Yeah. And there's nothing official as of now. But then Devdutt Padikkal, Ruturaj Gaikwad, and there's one more name. I think Devdutt Padikkal and Ruturaj Gaikwad and Sai Sudarshan. One of the three or maybe two of the three might be asked to stay back with the Indian team. Remember that all three of them were a part of the India A squad that played a couple of unofficial 4-day test matches against Australia earlier this month. So that's going to be the thing with the Indian team most likely. But then I think coming back to the point or the main topic that we have, Rohit Sharma isn't a sure shot starter for the opening test at the Optus Stadium. The good thing is that, obviously it's congratulations to Rohit Sharma and his wife for their second baby, but then the voices are really growing from the outside by the fact that even the fans and the experts want Rohit to be on the flight so that he can reach in time for the first test at the Perth. But then still there is no confirmation, there is no report also whether he would be travelling for the series opener or not. On the other hand, there is Shubman Gill, who whose services would have been really valuable for the Indian cricket team for the all-important BGT opener, but then there's a chance that he might miss out. So with Rohit probably not being there, same can be said about Shubman Gill. Does it make India's top order a really uncertain and a very shaky one?
In fact, I don't know why, but do you see this as a good sign for the Indian team and for Rohit Sharma? Why I'm saying that, because if the Indian team, as far as reports are concerned, if the Indian team wants a Devdutt Padikkal to stay back or a Sai Sudarshan, both of them will be giving middle order options. They aren't opening options. So if you're not stopping an extra opener, if you're not, that too when Shubman Gill is also now ruled out. So what I feel is that maybe in place of Shubman Gill, you would want somebody, another batter in the form, maybe KL Rahul could come at number 3, and then you could open with same Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal. I, for now, for some reason, do feel that you might see Rohit Sharma feature for the first test match, even though I think the reports do suggest that he has already talked to BCCI, he's conveyed his message that he is not going to be available for the first test match. But you never know, with Rohit Sharma things can be unexpected and you might see him come and play that test match. But if that's not the case, then I think things will really be very concerning for the Indian top order, because from 1 to 3 is something that will lay your foundation in Australia. We have seen that 1 to 3 hasn't been doing that well, hasn't performed that well, and it's always the middle order and the lower middle order that has bailed Indian batting order out in home conditions. But the difference being here this time around is going to be that you need your top order to do well. Last time also in Australia, when India started winning, it was the top order that contributed, because you need big runs in Australia. You need runs close to 350, 400 odd runs. For that, top order needs to be there. And if your regular 1, 2, 3 aren't there, 2 people are missing, then I think it's going to be a very big concern as far as the first test match is concerned.
Absolutely. I think before we get to Harshit, what I even feel is that if both Rohit and Shubman miss out on the opening test here at the Optus Stadium, I have a feeling that
Shubman most 99%.
Shubman is all
yeah.
but certain to be out. What I feel is that I think it's going to obviously make India's batting more fragile, despite the fact that both KL Rahul and Sarfaraz Khan are back to their full fitness. Because any which ways, your bowlers are probably going to take those 15 or 20 wickets on more often than not on the occasions in the BGT. But can your batters really score those important 300 or 350 odd runs in the first or second innings if it is required? I'm not really sure about it, because as much as I would like to believe in Ryanton Descartes' comments that why India's play against spin has deteriorated, it's primarily because of the fact that they have focused more on playing pace better or playing more on green pitches better. That's why they have probably forgotten to play spin. That's what he said a couple of months ago. And as much as I would like to believe in it, I don't really think that's going to be the thing that we are going to see in BGT, because India's play against pacers on those seaming tracks or on those green tracks has turned out to be their Achilles heel. Best example, the opening test versus Bangladesh at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium, and then the conditions in Bengaluru, that 1 or 1.5 hours against New Zealand, wherein you couldn't really negotiate the likes of Saudi, Willow Rourke, and I think there was one more guy, Matt Henry, and you were bundled out for 46. So I don't see any encouraging signs for India. I think it's Australia's best chance to land the knockout punch even in the first test, because if Rohit and Shubman are not going to be there, despite the presence of KL Rahul and Sarfaraz Khan, I think India will struggle.
But firstly, before you get to the views, do you see Rohit Sharma coming back? Because I was just discussing this before this also, that a reason why you're not stopping a backup opener, you're going for a backup middle order batter in Devdutt Padikkal or Sai Sudarshan. I think that just gives me a sign that just maybe Rohit Sharma might be available for that first test match.
See, it's difficult to tell because, again, first this news was awaited, of the birth of his second child, and now it's happened. But I would like to go back to that press conference that took place, the pre-Tabacha press conference, and when I didn't see Rohit Sharma there, it told me that maybe he's not going to be there for the first test match. How does this news now change things? Plenty of stories doing the rounds right now that he'll be sent on a charter, special provisions will be made. There are also reports that continue to suggest that he will miss. So again, I personally haven't messaged him or heard from him, so I don't quite know whether or not he will be there. So it's really a 50-50 situation the way I look at it. While I do agree, yes, an undercooked Rohit Sharma, which he will be because he's not. While we've seen him practice in Mumbai, but and that could at best give him some sort of rhythm, but that in no way gives him any sort of preparation or provides him with any sort of preparation per se of what lies ahead in Australia. For that, you need to be on the ground, you need to be practicing over there. But would I rather have an undercooked Rohit Sharma for the first test match? I know he's been in awful, form lately as well. He averaged just about 15 in that last series against New Zealand. I know his numbers don't make for a good reading, but given how precarious the situation is as far as the batting department is concerned, you will probably take an undercooked Rohit Sharma over an inexperienced Abhimanyu Iswaran or promote KL Rahul right up top, which I think the chances of that happening are pretty high. Because if Shubman Gill, and most likely Shubman Gill will not be playing in this test match, I don't see Virat Kohli moving from number 4, and I don't think it's the right time as well. If this was a Virat Kohli in form, maybe you could have asked him if he wants to move to number 3 for just this one-off situation. However, I don't see it happening right now, and right now it may not be the right thing to do as well. What you could do in such a scenario is, again, multiple options open up. Either you have KL Rahul bat at 3 and everything else remains the same right up till number 6 then, and then that means no room for Dhruv Jurel. What you can alternately do is, if you can manage to put KL Rahul in the opening slot, because he's somebody who's been tried out in various positions, then that opens up the possibility of having an additional batter in the side. Not an additional, bringing in a substitute batter in the side.
Correct.
And that could be Dhruv Jurel, who may then have to bat out of position, or you will have to push.
3.
Or you'll have to push someone else up the order. I don't think pushing Rishabh Pant up the order makes a lot of sense. As is the case with youngsters, they get tried and tested around. Maybe Jurel then moves to number 3, but I don't know.
What if you get in Devdutt
Devdutt
Padikkal or
Padikkal.
Sai Sudarshan into the squad, bat them at number 3 and open with same KL and Yashasvi?
So there's no room for Jurel then.
In place of Sarfaraz, if that's an option.
Again, that's too many changes for me, if you ask, because again, you've been jolted by a couple of changes which are forced changes now. In an ideal world, as people were saying, no, you got to include Jurel somehow, then that would have made for a tactical move, in the sense that, after just 3 series, you're doing away with a Sarfaraz, and now, because Jurel, yes, credit to him, he's given us all the reason to be talking about him right now, but this is also to do with how people have managed to get their foot across the door. How is it that they've managed to get into the side? Where is your vision in the sense? Do you see a Sarfaraz as part of your long-term plans or not? Those are things that you need to question, because if you then show him the door, then that same conversation about KL Rahul and so many others about, ill-timed exits from the Indian team, well, you need to be prepared for that as well. So I, from the outset, have been saying that you need to stick with Sarfaraz, because he's shown you promise over and over the last 3-4 years in domestic. It's time you reward him with a consistent run. How you find out a way for Dhruv Jurel is something that the selectors need to think of. But yeah, that's the way I look at the present situation.
Okay, I think most of the batters, obviously, if in the opening test, they are probably going to bat out of their position only. Same can, it can be said about KL Rahul. Dhruv Jurel, if he plays, I don't think it can happen that, he'll probably bat in the middle order, but then, the kind of potential or the gutsy knocks that he played against Australia, wherein he scored 80 and 68, you might just want to try him at a number 3 position also, because he's more of a bolter option, and he also, gives you that surprising element, which the Australians are actually going to find in Jurel there. So that's really going to be the thing. But then overall, what I feel is that maybe the reserves that you have, or maybe the options that you have in maybe KL Rahul, Abhimanyu Ishwaran or Devdutt Padikkal for that matter, Do you really think that they inspire that kind of a confidence to replace a certain Rohit Sharma and even Shubman Gill for that particular for the opening test?
The answer is straightforward no. It's a straightforward no. Because
See, the ideal situation would be that Rohit Sharma comes back in time, he opens with
But if he is not
Yashasvi
there,
Jaiswal, then I'd personally go with Abhimanyu Easwaran. Then the only reason being that you picked him in the side, then there would have definitely been an option. At that point also, I was in favor of getting in a Ruturaj Gaikwad ahead of Abhimanyu Easwaran because I think he's ran out of time in that sense. It was a very good time and he could have had an opportunity to play for the Indian team, which he did not get. So now I think it would have been ideal to get in a Ruturaj Gaikwad and I would still open with him. But because Abhimanyu Easwaran, you have picked him first and that was your call, then now open with Abhimanyu Easwaran and Yashasvi Jaiswal and get in Sai Sudarshan or Devdutt Padikkal, whoever you're getting at number 3. Why I'll do that is because nobody else's position will sort of change in that sense.
Yeah.
And
Everyone will
the
play
other
on
way of
their
doing
own
this is you
numbers.
have Easwaran open with Jaiswal and have KL at number 3. Because, I think sooner or
But
later...
again, for KL Rahul
you-
doesn't give me that confidence.
You need to accept. And KL Rahul, again, in my 11 also will probably not make it. Because you made a conscious decision after the first test match in Bangalore that you're benching him and then you made that required change in the second test match as
correct.
well. So you can't be, in a space of about 3 weeks, 4 weeks be doing a back and forth. There's no need of a flip-flop. You have batters. It's not like you don't have other batters that you can try out in that particular position. So I would not be a big fan of that, but I think you and I, whosoever, whether you like it or not, you need to accept the fact that KL Rahul is playing the first test match. I think that
Does it
can
give
be
you more
said with a
confidence?
degree of confidence or certainty rather, because look at the way that he is practicing, look at the reports that are being filed at the moment, look at the fact that he was then sent for specifically the second India A match. He wasn't part of that tour.
Correct.
So once you realize it's
Jurel.
panic stations, you sent him along with Jurel and he's been seen actively participating in all these drills that are taking place. Today, for that matter, was a day where you didn't have a Rishabh Pant, you didn't have a Virat Kohli, take to the field today, or were at least not spotted by the reporters as has been filed by multiple reporters. But the active participation of KL Rahul, the previous instances, the historical reasons of reverting to him, that just tells me that KL Rahul 99.9% is playing the first test match.
And I think
Where
he
he
might
plays
open.
is a different thing altogether. But yeah, signs are that he's playing.
But
Okay.
doesn't Sai Sudarshan or Devdutt Padikkal give you more confidence than KL Rahul? I think the only reason the team would still go with KL Rahul
At 3.
at 3 or open whatever the situation is like, I think they'd still go with him. The only reason for that would be his past experience
Okay.
and the kind of game he has and the experience that he has in Sena country.
See, there are two things. One is obviously there was a lot of praise for Sai Sudarshan. After he did well in that first test against Australia, unofficial 4-day test at Mackay, there was a lot of praise for him on Twitter also, wherein several journalists and even experts also said that he looks very assured and is probably ready to don that Indian test cap now and could very well be an important factor for India, assuming he's picked for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Now, as of now, he's not a part of the squad. But if we look at maybe the Devdutt Padikkal, who is tipped to be a favorite, in the BGT squad now, knowing that you are probably going to miss 2 of your stalwarts for the opening test.
No, he's also not a bad option in that.
No, he's
sense.
not a bad option at all. But the point is the experience is really going to be a missing factor. In case of Padikkal too, I think he might just, bat out of his position in a similar case like a KL Rahul also, because Padikkal has initially been tried as a middle order batter by India in that one-off test, in the debut test that he played against England at Dharamshala. He
Yes.
batted in the middle order.
Even for India, he batted in the middle.
Middle order, yeah.
While in the Dulip Trophy and for Karnataka in the limited rounds of Ranji Trophy, he batted,
No, there
in the
also
top
he bat-
three.
no, yeah,
Did he open once?
3-4.
He batted at number
3 or 4.
within the top 3.
Yeah.
So the only point here is that whatever replacements that you have, let's say there's a KL Rahul, Abhimanyu Easwaran, and for that matter even Sarfaraz Khan, he may not be a replacement because he's probably set to be a part of the playing 11. I personally feel that the 3 of them don't really inspire that much confidence, because on any given day I would want to prefer an undercooked Rohit Sharma and a half-fit Shubman Gill over an out of form KL Rahul, pretty much, inexperienced Abhimanyu Ishwaran, and Sarfaraz Khan, who has that dicey factor hanging over him.
I don't know about half fit, but you may get a half recovered Gill, going by the reports that are doing the rounds right now. But let's see where things stand. Of course, we get a clear, or rather clearer image of the whole situation. Let's say come Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe that'll make for a decent time to do predictions. But for now, given the resources India has, let's try and see who's it that makes it to your 11. In the sense, we're just talking about the top 3 here. Who are your top 3 as things stand on Sunday, 5 days ahead of the test match?
And that's assuming Gill is
This
out
is
and Rohit
assuming
is
as
miss.
things stand. So Rohit Sharma is in India. Shubman Gill is injured as of now, and
Nobody's been added to the squad.
nobody is added to the squad. And a KL Rahul has been practicing. Devdutt Padikkal is on standby. Who are your top 3?
I'm going to go with a couple of left field selections, and it's not really going to maybe please, or not many of the fans would agree with it, but I'm going to open with Jaiswal and Washington Sundar and have Dhruv Jurel at number 3. I'm going to go with
that
both
is quite left field.
Which means that
Quite left field.
yeah, I'm going to have Sarfaraz Khan in the middle order.
You've been a big fan of Washington Sundar up top. I know that.
Absolutely. I think he's that one guy who's actually going to be a surprise element for Australia. See, KL Rahul isn't looking that fluent, and at the very same time, there's a lot going with him also because his batting position is getting changed a lot. Now, Gautam Gambhir may, show confidence in him that he's a flexible player, he can bat at any position, but in most of the occasions, why KL Rahul has gone on to have a less than an average test career is because of the fact that he has been rotated a lot. Just from that perspective, just
This
to
is
make
a
sure
different
there's
debate which you're not having. At
yeah,
this point.
there is obviously there is. Just to have that surprise element also, let's open with Washington Sundar and Yashasvi Jaiswal and have Dhruv Jurel at 3. See, Jurel might not play the full series. There's a chance that he might not even play all the 5 matches for that matter. But now that you would have 2 of your big players probably not going to be a part of the opening test, why not have someone in form who just scored an 80 and a 68 against Australia in one of the tough conditions at the MCG on a drop-in pitch, which was still a green track. Let's try him at number 3. You have nothing to lose.
See, I'd personally go with Abhimanyu Ishwaran to open, and at number 3, Devdutt Padikkal or Sai Sudarshan, whoever gets drafted into the side. The only reason for being that is Dhruv Jurel. I was just thinking about this again and again, that how do I fit in a Dhruv Jurel in this side, but I'm not going to throw him at number 3 straight away in the first test in Perth of the Border Gavaskar Trophy, because that will definitely dent his confidence. Even moving ahead in the series, if I know that I might need him at some point, and I would not want him to.
But times that he batted for India as well, you were 20 for 3, 20 for 4. He was virtually.
But still, it's still the middle order. Throwing him in front of Pat Cummins, Hazelwood, and all these people suddenly at number 3.
So he rather face them when they're bowling with the old ball.
Yeah, old ball, or you have the spinners on, or it's you have a little more tired fast bowlers in that sense. I would still not do that. I'll tell you why. Because at this point, I might want him to bat at number 3 because he looks the most assured batter out there. But if he doesn't do well and then I drop him again and then get him later on in the series in the middle order, that's going to really dent his confidence. So I'm not going to do that. I need to protect him for the whole series. That's why I'm going to go with Abhimanyu Ishwaran, who is your designated backup opener in that sense. And at number 3, I'll get in a Devdutt Padikkal or Sai Sudarshan. For me, I would go with Sai Sudarshan, but it's very 50-50. It's at max, it's 51-49. Either one of them, both of them are fine according to me. Both of them gave their game suit to Australian conditions. Devdutt Padikkal in particular, I think he's somebody who likes to play on the rise. He's tall, so he gets that advantage as well. And I feel that his footwork also in Indian conditions, I still remember some games, he doesn't go towards the ball, and that will suit him in Australia because it's going to be pacey, bouncy. So I think Devdutt Padikkal is also fine, but Sai Sudarshan for me first preference because he's scored those runs. And as far as Dhruv Jurel, like I mentioned, I would not want to dent his confidence for the whole series because I know that I'll need a batter like him who's so solid. So I would want to protect him for that. Okay. And by this method, I'm not even playing too much with the batting positions of other batters.
Sai Sudarshan scores, could you help me recall? I don't quite.
He got a century in the first. Was it a century or double century?
A century.
Century in the first India A game. Then he did not score big runs, but 30-40 odds he did. Devdutt Padikkal also got that 88 or 180. So either one of them is okay.
I
KL
think
Rahul doesn't give me confidence anyway. So I would still.
well, like I said earlier as well, I'm pretty sure KL Rahul is playing this test match where again
this was my opinion. And
can't be said. But if I were to make my top 3 at the moment, given the resources we have and how things stand, I'm going ahead with Iswaran because at some point I need to give him the opportunity. And what but a better occasion when my captain's not there and there is a genuine opening. If this is not an opening, I don't know what will be.
Correct.
So you have to try Iswaran out. I am very clear on that. The other opener alongside him on the other side, no questions, will be Jaiswal. Now coming to who number 3 should be. I think even I'm unwilling to throw Dhruv Jurel under the bus because 3 and 6 are different positions altogether. You could have made him bat at 5, perhaps if push came to shove at 4, but from 5-6 to number 3 is a big change. So I'm not gonna let that happen. I would rather protect him because he doesn't replace Sarfaraz Khan for me either. Again, I'll do that with a heavy heart, but I'll probably have to do that at Adelaide and Perth, and maybe after I've run out of patience with Sarfaraz, I hopefully don't because you want to see runs from him in both those test matches. Maybe then I can take a call as to where things stand. Who would then in that case be my number 3? I think I am giving Devdutt Padikkal the slight edge over here because we saw him bat at 4 in that England series that took place when Virat Kohli wasn't around. So 3-4 I'm still willing because this is a Devdutt Padikkal who has opened in the past in the shortest and the longest format of the game as well. Of course, a bit of a churn that he's going through in terms of his position, but I rather trust him to have he and honestly, he does give me the vibe that he seems to have his head between his shoulders. He does give me that vibe of being a sensible batter. So I probably try him at 3 because the fact that he is making it to my squads, he's traveling with the team, tells me that he is part of the plan for sure in that middle order. I wouldn't have given him that debut otherwise in in that series against England. So I rather try him out at number 3.
Okay, fine. Let's just, I think, take a few comments from our family members and see what they have to say. But yeah, I think it does make sense to have a Devdutt Padikkal. But overall, I think I'm not really sure if that's really going to be the case, whether India are going to go with him. Maybe
the ideal scenario actually would have been, had this been a Virat Kohli in form, that you would have asked Virat to go at number 3, pushed everyone else, a slot up and fitted in a Dhruv Jurel maybe.
Correct.
That would have been an ideal scenario. But just because Virat is struggling for runs right now, you want to make him bat at the position he is most comfortable batting, which is at number 4.
Correct. Rakesh Bhushan has a comment that Indians half-fits are trying to fit themselves in the 11. In the past, India have carried virtually half-fit players. Why not Mohammad Shami? See, with Mohammad Shami, there's a report that is doing the rounds is that he did well in the one-off Ranji game that he has just played because
7 wickets.
Yeah, he took a total of 7 wickets and even scored 30 odd runs. The BCCI reportedly wants him to play a couple of more matches. See, Ranji Trophy is not going to be there for the next couple of months or so. So they want him to play a few matches of the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy before they take a final call on his possible participation in the BGT. Because for Shami, you know that once he travels to Australia, he is going to be your sure shot starter in the playing 11, even if it means you have to drop Mohammad Siraj for that matter. So you wouldn't really want to risk a half-fit Shami there, because once he gets back to his full fitness, which we assume that he is, then there is a chance that India would want to play him as many matches as they would want him to.
Yeah.
And in the second part of the question is, even half-fit Shami and fully fit Bumrah could have landed first blow to Aussies and dictated the series. I would like to believe so, but then a half-fit Shami, would he really be able to last the full series, the 5-match series? I'm not really sure about it.
And he's also, I think, a very big reason for him not travelling just after one game is that I know he has taken 7 wickets and I haven't seen the full highlights of that game, But whatever I could see, I thought that he wasn't the Shami that we were
Of course,
expecting.
he seems to
come
put on
back.
some weight as well.
Yeah.
So
And I think he was not even in that sort of a rhythm. I know 7 wickets in a Ranji Trophy game. I'm not going to read too much into that because Mohammad Shami, I think the difference of class and the difference of skill set is so much that even a 50% Shami, I think, is capable of taking those wickets in Ranji Trophy.
Correct. Rakesh Bhushan has another comment. Virat Kohli travelled without the team. Rohit Sharma still no clarity, no practice match. I think if we talk about who is really taking the call, because there is not much of a clarity, I think there's a belief that things are pretty much clear within the camp. It is just that sometimes things get out in media a little later, for that matter, because as let's just go back to the India-England series that took place earlier in 2024. I'm 110% sure that there was a proper communication within the team management that Virat Kohli was not going to be a part of the 5-match series, although it was communicated to the media and the fans on a very match-to-match basis. So I think there's definitely that communication within the management, within the team management, but then same can definitely not be said about the communication when it is done to players, or maybe in case of some media persons also.
Chalo, I seem to have been told to come upstairs, so I'll leave you guys with the comments.
Cool. We'll take over the comments from
Perfect.
here. Pawan, can we scroll down? Yeah. Tanmay Joshi has a comment that this is a misconception that Indians are good against pace. Bengaluru in second innings against second new ball, they were helpless against Henry and Orut. Well, that's something that even I pinpointed, Tanmay, here, that in case of India, obviously, no matter what your assistant coach or any of the players or even the head coach says, that the focus was more on playing pace well, and that's why your play against spin has actually deteriorated. That can never be a a proper or a very strong reason, and that's where I think India, they have been found wanting in the green conditions or in the tough conditions, wherein you have probably faced South Africa, even England for that matter, and now in Australia. It is going to be a tough challenge, because if there has to be a bold prediction made for the possible pitches for the Perth and the Adelaide Test, I think it's going to be a green deck. We all know what happened last time when India and Australia faced off in Adelaide, but then after that 36 all out, India managed to script a remarkable recovery. Now you come back to this series only. All we can expect are just green pitches.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Pawan, let's just move on.
Normal question.
Yeah, normal questions. Okay, Priyanshu has a comment that KL, Jaiswal, Devdutt Padikkal, Virat, Pant, Jurel, Jadeja, Nitish Reddy, a debut for him by Priyanshu. Harshit, another debut. Siraj and Bumrah. This team will play. Australia might just win in Perth. India have a good chance at MCG in Sydney. Pink ball is a little lottery type, and yeah, that's actually going to be the case. Because in case of the pink ball test matches, usually what we have seen is that the ball tends to get a lot softer when you're playing under the sun. But once you play under the lights, it's going to be a different ball game altogether. Although India were bundled out for 36 under the sunny conditions only, but then usually what we have seen with the trend of the pink ball, it does tend to get a little soft. Overall, I think Australia do stand a good chance of winning in Perth with the kind of bowling attack that they have, and at the very same time they have those batters who can, who would be more than ready to get the better of Bumrah in company. I think there is this more hunger that Australia have, because they know that if they lose to India 3 times in a row at home in a BGT, it's going to call for those radical changes.
I think they have their eyes on the prize, and I think at this point also they just look much more hungry and much more desperate, because there's nothing else that they haven't won in the last couple of years. They've won the World Cup, T20 World Cups, the WTC, Ashes. It's just this one series that sort of is just hanging on, and this team as a bunch has achieved everything. It's just that the Border Gavaskar at home that they need to actually win.
True. Kiran Khatri is saying that Jaiswal, Rahul at number 3, whoever it is between one of the replacements, Gaikwad, Sudarshan Ishwaran or Devdutt Padikkal, will anyways be a gamble. That's sure it is going to be. It's not looking good. India might be 2-0 down in no time. Devdutt 100 like KL in 2014 series. Your thoughts?
Very interesting. Devdutt's 100. Like, I just hope his career doesn't pan out like KL Rahul, but yeah, the 100 would
What do you mean by
definitely
not pan out like KL Rahul?
The 100 would definitely be really appreciated, but for that he first needs to be drafted into the side, which he is not till now. And I think I do agree with this fact that in no time India really needs to be very cautious, because in no time you could actually be 2-0, because the memories of, see, with the ping ball thing is that it's so unpredictable, and the kind of swing your batting needs to be in top form for that. I think it's more than the already the lights and the conditions will be helping fast bowlers.
Correct.
Plus the ball, that extra lacquer, the seam, a better seam, a little more swing. So your batting even more needs to be much more assured of themselves. And I think that is a problem for India. And India will have to be very cautious, because the first two tests the scheduling is being done really, really smartly this time in that sense.
Absolutely. Frickin' Awesome has a comment. He has, given his playing 11. Rahul, Sudarshan to open. Jaiswal at 3. Okay. So it's going to be pretty much an inexperienced opener and an out of form opener, with Jaiswal being shifted to number 3 just for this match. Virat, Pant, Jurel, Jadeja, Washington. Debut for Nitish Kumar Reddy, Prasidh, Akash and Bumrah. So no Siraj, because he's obviously clearly out of form. I will go with Washington instead of Sarfaraz in these conditions. I think on any given day you would want to trust in a certain Washington ahead of a Sarfaraz, because you know that Washington has played in these conditions. He looks tactically or technically more astute in comparison to a Sarfaraz, and plus he also
But
gives
at
you...
the end of the day, Gulati sir, it's about a pure batter versus an all-rounder.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if there has to be a comparison made between the both, more often than not, you're going to go for Washington Sundar because of the dual package that he is.
No, but if it's just about playing in the sense of batter, then I'm going to go with Sarfaraz only as of now.
Okay, that's fine. Pawan, let's just scroll up and maybe take one more comment before we call it a night. Abhijit Singh is asking a question that why is Shami not being included? Well, Abhijit, it's been answered earlier, just a few minutes back, so you can maybe just see it. That is, in case of Shami, the only point is that BCCI want to be watchful of him. They want him to play a few more matches, and that's why they are yet to take a call on whether he's going to board that flight to Australia in a couple of weeks from now or not. Last comment. Kiren Khatri, Nitish Reddy is certain to play. It does look like. Only one spinner they'll play, Jadeja, Sundar Ashwin. I think, in Perth and in Adelaide, it does look like that India are going to go with one spinner only. But then when you come to the conditions of MCG and the iconic Sydney cricket ground, there's a good chance that India might want to go in with, 2 spinners there. I'm not really sure.
Sydney, I think just Sydney.
Maybe, because the last time you won, the last 2 times when you have won in Sydney at the MCG, in 2018, I think you had 1 spinner, and in 2021, you had 2 spinners in both Jadeja and Ashwin. So that could really be a case depending upon the drop-in pitch that is going to be there at Melbourne. But then I think, for the first couple of test matches, it does look like that India will play only one spinner, one spinning all-rounder, and it could very well be Sundar. Plus, regarding Reddy, he does seem to be a top contender to be given a debut cap.
He will definitely be. He'll play that Shardul Thakur role.
More than likely. But then, there's actually a report doing the rounds that Harshit Rana, he did very well in the 2 days of the match simulation and also the net practice also. What reports or maybe the sources are really saying is that Harshit Rana looks a proper contender for India or a proper favourite for the Australian conditions as far as the pitches go. That's where I think there is a report actually doing the rounds that Harshit Rana could make his debut either in Perth or in Adelaide.
So who are going to be your 3 fast bowlers? Bumrah, Siraj and?
See, just for the opening test, I'm going to go with Bumrah, Siraj and Akashdeep, and I would basically just stick to 4 bowlers. So I'm going to have Washington Sundar. I'm going to play with 7 batters and 4 bowlers. So 3 seamers and 1 spinner, and 1 spinning all-rounder in being Washington Sundar. And yours?
And I think I'll go with the same thing. I'll just get in a Nitish Reddy as far as 7 batting options are concerned. 7th batting option is going to be Nitish, and then my fast bowlers, I'm going to go with Ashwin to begin with in Perth, and my 3 fast bowlers in Akashdeep, Bumrah and Harshit Rana.
Okay.
No
fine.
Siraj.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of fair enough because of the form that he has
Harshit Rana
shown.
will also contribute with the bat.
True.
That's also.
So that's about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Anything else you would want to add,
We
or
can-
hold your silence forever?
We can hold our silence for now, at least.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us for yet another edition of the Dugout. Do let us know your thoughts about India's possible uncertain top order that's going to be there for the opening test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. You can let them know in the comment section, and you can check out any of the other videos that we have done on the BGT, on Champions Trophy, and obviously a few other sports too. There's a beautiful interview that is basically out of a para swimmer. You can check that also, Shams Alam. It's done by one of our teammates, Sunny. So until then, it's good night, Nandri, Vanakkam, Shabba Khair.
Shubh Ratri, eat your vegetables and don't touch your mother.
See you soon.